Hi, welcome to another episode of Atkins Diet Misconceptions. My name is, of course, Kent Holtman, and today's episode has to deal with a question that I get quite often in my videos or in private messages to me. And let me read the question before I get into it. My husband, who has been on the Atkins diet for 2 weeks, was just in the ER for abdominal pain, and it turned out to be kidney stones. I was reading that there might be a link with the Atkins diet and kidney stones. Is this true? I really hope it's not. Is there a connection? And of course, a lot of this information between the linking between impeded renal function or kidney stones in particular, and the Atkins or low carb diet has to do with the protein intake. Again, focusing that this is a high protein diet, which it really is not. It's more of a moderate protein diet. And kidney function. The PCRM, or the Atkins Exposed website, which is the PETA sponsored physicians, say the American Academy of Family Physicians noted that the high animal protein intake is largely responsible for the high prevalence of kidney stones in the United States and other developed countries, and recommends protein restrictions for the prevention of recurrent kidney stones. Well, that seems pretty clear. Not. And it's also bolstered by certain faulty science studies that have been promoted. For instance, there's this one called the Randomized Controlled Trial of Low Protein, High Fiber Diet in the Prevention of Recurrent Calcium Oxalate Kidney Stones, that was produced in the American Journal of Epidemiology in 1996 of July. Well, if you know anything about science, usually science is involved about having a control group and changing one variable and putting that in your testing group. Well, what this study did was they had a control group in which they advised to drink an adequate amount of water as well as eat their calcium. And the second group was advised the same thing. However, they modified it. They suggested that they eat fruits and vegetables, eat a high fiber diet which included a 1/4 cup of wheat bran per day, and they also regulated their protein intake to less than 67 grams per day, which I'm sure by some standards for some weight groups would be more of a moderate intake of protein rather than a low intake of protein. And in this study group, which had a remarkably low sampling of only 99 individuals, which I find remarkable that people will point to these sorts of things and point to the science behind it when the same amount of sampling groups get railed upon within the low carb studies. But anyhow, these people showed some improvement. But, like I said, they changed more than one variable. They took a shotgun approach. And you don't know if it was the wheat bran, the fruits and vegetables, or the moderate protein. With that in mind, let's go looking for additional studies that may clear up the subject. The first one was written by a professor or a researcher called Nancy Rodriguez. She is a faculty member of the University of Connecticut and a member of their nutritional sciences, as well as a member of their sports nutrition and Department of Sports Medicine in their Division of Athletics for the college. And she's produced a number of relevant documents on the role of dietary protein and kidney functions. The most notable one was produced in the Nutrition Metabolism magazine in February 2005. And it was called Dietary Protein Intake and Renal Function. So not only did it focus on kidney stones, but it was all about kidney function overall. And the conclusion that they reached, the short answer was, while protein restrictions may be appropriate for the treatment of existing kidney stones or existing kidney disease, we find no significant evidence for a detrimental effect on high protein intakes on kidney functions in healthy persons after centuries of high protein Western diet. And in following the review, the high protein diet classified by them was defined by having 1.5 grams per kilograms per day, which is almost twice the recommended of the dietary allowance that the dietary reference intakes, DRIs, for protein intake. So they went about and classified kidney functions by particularly the globular filtration rate, or the GFR focus over 3 or more months. And they found that notably race, gender, age, and family history had significantly higher risk factors for chronic kidney disease, or CKD, than did the high protein. The high protein only took effect in the fact that if you had already existing kidney problems, that the high protein intake exacerbated or was the tinderbox for lower kidney function. So therefore, if you follow the Atkins diet recommendation that if you have existing kidney problems, don't follow the low carb lifestyle, you would be fine. They also noted the whole idea of the kidney strain hypothesis, in which because you're eating all this high protein in your diet, there's a strain on your organs that they're going to wear out sooner. And what they found was that the amount of water needed to digest the high protein diet that they tested upon, the 1.5 grams, that 1.5 grams only required 250 milliliters of intake for that to process that dietary protein, i.e. only 8 ounces of additional water per day to digest that protein intake. In quoting them, therefore, claims that a high protein diet promotes dehydration or adversely strains the kidneys remain speculative. They pointed to another study, also done by Nancy Rodriguez, that noted the role of protein in endurance athletes for the regulation of hydration levels. And that study said, to conclude, it appears that protein intake under 2.8 grams per day does not impair renal function in well-trained athletes as indicated by the measures of renal functions used in the study. In fact, it was necessary to maintain the water index level. And the final study I'd like to point out is that a study called Dietary Factors and the Risk of Instant Kidney Stones in Men, New Sites After 14 Years of Follow-Up. And what they noted was that only dietary impact of protein only affected those individuals with BMIs higher than 25, which obviously if you've been following the low-carb lifestyle, your BMI should be less than that. Again, after 14 years of study. So again, not only is there bad studies that point to the linkage between the two, either by testing more than one thing at the same and then coming out with a biased result out of it and being used by biased organizations like PCRM. We also have multiple studies out there in the market that point to no increased impairment of kidney function of dietary impact. And third, the studies that do show kidney stones being prevalent are only prevalent in those that have some sort of metabolic disorder beforehand, not by healthy individuals like athletes or anybody else who has healthy functioning kidneys. So if you follow the dietary recommendations by the Atkins diet, i.e. have healthy functioning, for those that have healthy functioning kidneys, drink your water of 64 ounces or more per day, the impact of a low-carb lifestyle should be negligible, if anything at all, on your kidney function. I've been tested every year in terms of my blood work and my urinalysis, and not once have my doctor ever noticed an impact on kidney disease or reduced kidney functioning levels. Well, that concludes another episode of Atkins Diet Low Carb. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below, and you can make sure you check out the links that I put in the video notes so that you can do the research for yourself. Don't take my word for it, do the research yourself, and that way you can feel bolstered when people start naysaying the low carb lifestyle, that you can say, no, that's not right. Here's the studies that prove that you are absolutely wrong. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Good day.